launch system.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, we are live. Welcome to our tribe mastermind. This week we have such a rock star panelist, experts, and oh my gosh, am I in awe of who we have on this call, and so thankful that I can be.
Greatness.
Yes. I am Ryan Allered, my co-host Darcy Erickson. Also, Dee Braun is part of this. We have a whole group. ClickBank is part of this. We put this together to help everybody in the need that's going through this. Try to help your business, try to make money. And this week, we're talking about how is this shift in this pandemic shifted our current industry now, and more importantly, what impacts, if any, are going to see long-term. And also, just so everybody knows, Amanda Dobson cannot say the word pivot on this call. But anyway, without further ado, let's introduce our panelists. And hold on, there we go. Can we all see each other? There we go. Now we're all on good view. First up is, everybody knows Tyler Bramlett. He is a father of 2 little girls, a husband to an amazing boss lady wife, and has founded and consulted with several businesses that have collectively sold hundreds of millions of dollars online. His current focuses are angel investing, which Darcy and I need to talk to you later about that. Angel investing, consulting, supporting the scaling of email marketing agency Warrior Management, and running the brand he co-founded called Warrior Made, which is a body transformation company whose goal is to empower everyone to feel great in their bodies again. He specializes in scaling, cash flow management, product creation, funnel building, email, and optimization. He has a passion for pushing the limits with exercise and diet experiments. And he also loves jujitsu, so he can kick all our asses.
Wow, Tyler, your bio makes us all look like slackers.
Yeah.
The bios are going to be too long.
I know.
I was told short.
Yeah. Because I just sit outside and talk on the phone all day long.
Yeah.
Gotta get some sunshine. So.
Next up is the wonderful one and only Amanda Dobson, who is the director of marketing at Agora Financial, as well as a founder of 7 Level Profits. She specializes in SMS text messaging marketing, as well as push notifications, messenger bots, Facebook groups. She leads a rockstar team, and together they create strategies, breakthroughs, and craft integrated campaigns that drive millions of dollars of monthly sales. And finally, we have Thomas. Just kidding. Thomas has a bio too.
Why am I here?
Yeah. Thomas McMahon, again, everyone knows Thomas, and if you don't, he's a really good guy. It doesn't actually say it in his bio, but I'm going to add it. Thomas McMahon is a husband and proud daddy to Penelope, a very cute little girl.
Just turned 1 on Friday. Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, Penelope. He's the senior business development manager at ClickBank. He excels at helping brands scale their customer acquisition through affiliate marketing and connecting people to the next person they need to for success. His portfolio has amassed over $100 million in sales and generated millions of new customers for his clients, and is just an all-around rock star. Thank you, everybody, for being panelists today. And again, we're going to start going through. We're going to just talk about how we feel the industry is going right now and what it means for the future. If you have questions, please, we're going to answer almost all your questions. There's a little question button somewhere around the bottom, I think. Please submit your questions. Any questions, as many questions as you want. We'd love to answer them. So today's topic, what has this pandemic done right now to our industry? What have we seen? And what does the future hold? I know for myself, everyone I talk to, we are busier than ever. It is insane. But I'm going to throw it out there. Who wants to start off with any thoughts they have? Amanda, I'm going to call on you then.
Just knew it. And this is like the one, I can't say the P word, and this is like the one channel where
That's right.
I'm going to say it. I've got a synonym prepared. Things are busier than ever. Everyone's changing the way that they communicate, the messaging of their offers. We were talking this, actually we weren't talking, I was listening to the recording of the prep call for this panel today. And it came up in conversation that for the first time, people are looking at really diverse offers for monetization, for how they communicate, because people are looking to solve different problems now than they were before, like now it was a little bit more on the want side versus the need side. And now we're facing a health crisis. We're facing an economic crisis. So people are really broadening their horizons. So there's never been a better time. I work with a lot of businesses that aren't necessarily in the affiliate space yet. They're either e-com businesses or, they just don't have affiliate offers on the market. And I'm like, guys, this is like the best time. Like the pickings are, everywhere. Megan made a really good point that the competition is a little bit stronger. There's a lot of offers in the marketplace. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of people trying to get their name out there. But there's never been a better time to, try a new offer to your list, or, to tweak an existing offer that maybe has run to your list before with different creatives that solve or, focus on a different pain point. So there's a lot of adjustments happening that way. Did not use the P word.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing. Like for me, it's hard for everybody. Everybody's looking at their bottom line. Everybody's adjusting margins. But for the savvy marketer who is willing to take a little bit of risk right now, or is able to take a little bit of risk, there's a lot of blue ocean to be found.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I know this is I've been preaching for, I'd say half my career in direct response, which is about 6 years, 6 years, I don't know. I don't want to date myself too much. But I've been telling people all the time, try new offers, try new verticals to your list, see if they work. If they don't, it's one email, right? But if it does work, it opens up so much.
Yeah.
And I think now people are actually realizing that. Now the question is, will it continue once it's done? Or once you have a health list, I only send health offers, right? I don't know. That's a good question for the group.
What I was just going to mention is there, like the problem that you're going to run into, especially when you're trying to convince or sway someone to run an offer to a list that's not proven, is right now every dollar counts. Mm-hmm. Every opportunity to promote something and make a little bit of money from your email list or your text list or your Facebook groups is a risk for those people. So I rely on people like Amber Spears, who's an genius, to come up with compelling offers to get people to reduce their risk. Like, let me prepay you. Let's do, a segment to test, or, she comes up with all those really great things to mitigate the risk. And I think it's our job as marketers and as affiliate marketers to make it as easy as possible for potential affiliates or other businesses to run our offers. And I think that's what people are kind of missing in the puzzle right now is like with my own email list, I'm so protective of it. And I know that if I mail an offer that doesn't work, that's a big chunk of revenue that could be paying my staff, or, it's got a ripple effect. So if someone comes to me with an offer that's not proven, but has some kind of insurance policy built into the back end, I'm totally, I'm going to pick that offer over every other offer. So for anyone who's on the call and looking to broaden their horizons and add different verticals into, their list, I would definitely recommend coming up with some kind of way to soften the blow if for whatever reason the offer doesn't work, and make the partners trust you and want to work with you again if it does.
Yeah, that's a good call. I was curious if Amanda and Tyler, if you have any examples of it doesn't have to be a specific offer, just what kind of types of niches you've seen cross promote that you wouldn't have expected. For me, I've seen BizOp do really well to survival lists recently, and that was a surprise to me. That's not one that's been, those have been kind of siloed before. I was just curious if you guys have seen that across your offers and what's been happening there.
Yeah, I've seen, I ran Survival Life for 3 years, and it surprised me. One of the offers that's doing really well to that list right now, Emily Lark has her Back to Life offer that's doing pretty well to that list. But yeah, we've always seen how to make money online, those BizOp kind of offers do well to that list. We've actually put out, the last offer I wrote before I left working for Perry was how to start a worm farm. So, your girl's done it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to echo that, we see a lot of, we have an email agency where we sent 1 billion emails last year and or more. And it's growing and growing and growing at a rapid rate right now because everybody's trying to monetize as best they can. We see health to financial. That's worked really well for us for several years now. Survival has never been really great until now. And so that's been a big one. Recently, we've been able to make a lot of survival offers work. Some of the more branded offers that we haven't been able to work in the past are working better now. Like an example is Kettle and Fire is a bone broth company that they could never compete in the marketplace in terms of CPAs and being able to pay out in conversions, but they put together an emergency food kit, and it was one of the best offers.
Everywhere. I've seen that offer everywhere. Everyone's
that's a great call. Yeah,
mind-blowingly good, and it's a great brand to support as well. And just to echo what Amanda is saying, and then I'm happy to share my perspective on kind of the landscape too, but I want to give something in advance. If you guys are concerned about what is this going to do to run it to my list, one of the things that people have a hard time with is that email is, it's limited inventory. If you're mailing once a day, you get 30 shots in a month. If you're mailing twice a day, you get 60 shots in a month. And so it really is important to maximize everything that you're doing. And one of the things that we've done internally on one of the lists that we own recently is at the end of our autoresponder, we take 15% of all contacts and we put them on what's called a scout list. And this list is operating ahead of the main list, and it's doing significantly more testing. 2, 3, 4 creative tests per day, offer tests per day, multiple drops per day, whereas this list is only doing 1 drop per day. And we're taking the best of the best that we find over here, and we're putting that into the list over here. So it's a really great way to just take something that feels very finite, and it feels very, like on Facebook, you can spend $5 on an ad campaign, you can turn it off, right? But on email, if you have 100,000 emails and you click send, it's done. It's done, right? So I'd much rather click send on 15,000 emails with 3 different creatives, so only 5,000 person tests, and then take the best of the best and put it on the 85,000, then run everything at 100,000. So there's like a basic little gem that you guys can run. It's a lot more work because you're obviously running multiple lists in tandem each other, and this one should be testing offers, from lines, subject lines, creatives, like as much as you possibly can. And that cohort of your customers is probably going to be a little more annoyed than this cohort of your customers that's getting just that more consistent drop. But it's made a big difference on us understanding that everything that we're running is 100% maximized all the time. So if you're nervous, don't run it to everybody. Just run it to a small cohort, and you'll find things that work really well. We had an offer. I don't know, Amanda, do you know who's running that 2020 depression offer? What division is that?
I don't know, but now is the time to run those mental health offers.
Yeah, it's a 2020. No, it's a Great Depression. It's a financial offer. It's one of the Agora imprints.
Yeah, it's an Agora offer.
Yeah, we made $180,000 on a Saturday.
It's Paradigm.
Paradigm Press.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we made
Thanks, Megan D'Amico.
Always on top of those other offers. Megan's the best.
Yeah, we ran that over a weekend last Saturday and made $180,000 on it. It was one of the best offers we ran in a while. So, and that was primarily to health lists. So if you guys haven't tested anything like that, I think now is the time to really consider doing it. So I know that's a little gem. I hope that everybody goes and implements. Like I said, it's a lot of work, but right now it's time to stay focused. If you're running your business and you're having to push all the buttons, like roll up your sleeves, get after it right now.
Is there a way you find that 15%, or are you just going to pull a random 15% from the general?
Yeah, random. So if you have a list that exists already, you can pull a random 15%. And then we just, at the end of the customer intake autoresponders, we splice off 15% into that scout list.
That's smart. Cool.
Yeah.
If you've got an email list and you're worried about deliverability too, if you don't have a program where you mail to the openers or the clickers in the evenings, mailing an affiliate promotion that you've never tested before or untested creatives to those people that have opened and clicked a morning email just to the PM, because those emails always get like 40 to 60% open rates. Like it's always going to perform way better than any other email that you send, but it also like isolates so that it's super engaged people, so that if it's for some reason there's the creative doesn't perform as well for like a full list send, then at least like you're containing it and like it's not gonna hurt your deliverability really.
Yeah. Y'all noticed any change in trend with like what days are performing better? We still see, right, weekends are best, right, because people are still working for the most part, but weekdays are obviously much higher than they've typically been throughout, this time of year. Are you guys seeing any kind of adjustments there?
I mean, for email, the single biggest factor that we found to generate revenue is offer selection. So like that's the one thing you got to look at first. Second piece would be from line, subject line combination, just getting those open rates up. Third piece would be email creative. So I think that it's a little bit of a loaded question in that if I send the best offer on a Wednesday, it's going to be the best day. Yeah. But generally speaking, we would take those great offers and we would load them in Saturdays, Sundays because we get better conversions out of them. Because people got time to sit through stuff like that.
Right.
It depends on the style of offer too. Like those like webinars do better on certain days, and long form copy when people have the time to consume it. Like,
Yeah.
And it depends. It's so different in niche. Like I've got clients in the financial space and in the automotive space. Like I'm everywhere, and it's so different everywhere.
It's very true.
And I've got a question for you guys, see what you guys think. So everyone is obviously January for the weight loss is just a huge month for our industry. And with all these quote unquote, as Megan D'Amico says, hashtag pandemic pounds, now that things are starting to lift, cities are opening again, and we're getting thrown into bathing suit season, are we going to kind of see quote unquote a second January where everyone's trying to do health, or nah, it's going to be normal, right? What do you guys think?
I think it depends on what you're looking at. So with the brand that we have, it's home workouts, it's meal plans, cookbooks, things like that. There's been a little bit of a downtick in overall traffic, but not so much that it feels like we're not super scared over there in terms of the business not being stable. What is upticking right now is like the home workouts and whatnot. And I think what I was going to say earlier about just my perspective on this pandemic is like, we have an interesting perspective. So I'm a consultant to several different companies in the online space. We have an email marketing agency that runs all this traffic to myriad of offers. And then we have a brand that we're really trying to build into something that's going to compete with like Peloton and Weight Watchers in the long run. So we're in this position right now where we're pivoting from a product marketing company to more of a SaaS model company. And then in addition to that, we have, Katie and I are involved in 2 local businesses. And so we got to see a different perspective on all of this stuff. So for the local businesses, it was like, shut the doors, lay everybody off, and the revenue disappeared. And in a lot of ways, I think that gave us a ton of empathy for the people that are going through this. Because I can't imagine what somebody who's all their income is on one business, they put their time and effort and money into it, and then at the drop of a hat, everything's completely gone. I mean, lucky for us, it was like less than 1% of income coming in. So it wasn't that effective. It didn't affect us that much. But one of those businesses was a gym business. And I do think that in the long haul, the physical gyms are going to have a harder time just because the people who want to come out and join these things anew are going to be less inclined to do so. And I think that the online space is going to be more and more inclined to do so. So, for example, in the brand, we see this massive uptick in people wanting to take on these home workout products. We're trying to lean more towards digital, more towards the home workout stuff, less towards physical products right now, just because we've had some issues with manufacturing at scale. And I also, we've got all these countries that we can't ship to anymore. And so it's kind of limiting some of our international sales as well. So we're really leaning digital. I would encourage anybody who has only physical to start thinking about those other components. And I've been saying the same things for like 5 years, you guys. Like the biggest thing you need to make a decision of as a business owner is like, what business are you? Are you focusing on becoming a cash flow business? Or are you focusing on becoming a long-term brand, right? So the biggest way to decide, and everybody says, I want to do both, right? And that's bullshit. I'm here to say that's absolute bullshit. Pick one or pick the other, right? This one is going to be equitable. You're going to be able to sell it. You might need to raise capital to scale it because it's harder to make monetization work on the back end. This one is just going to be cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, focus on the net profit. So if you're the brand, you need to be leaning into your customers. You need to be doing Facebook Lives. You need to be doing customer NPS surveys. You need to be asking customers, how can I provide great value to you right now in this time of need? And you need to be fulfilling that need as best as you possibly can. And then on the other side, on monetization, you need to make sure you got all your shit dialed. You need to make sure that you're scaling your traffic as best you can. Make sure your numbers are dialed so that you know you have good break-even points on all that traffic. You can scale your CPAs, your allowable acquisition costs, as best you can. You need to make sure your email is monetized as best as you can. And so many people think they're in the brand camp, but they're actually in the cash flow camp. And that's what makes them feel like they don't want to run a Agora Depression 2020 offer, but really they're just losing money. That's it, because you're not going to ever become a brand. I'm sorry to say that. It's the fucking truth, right? If you're not willing to go out there and build something that is legit, that's not just a personal brand, that's built beyond you, then that's not going to ever be equitable. It's not going to be a legitimate brand in the long run. So if you are a cash flow business, acknowledge that. And that's fine. It's okay. Plenty of the people I talk to and consult with, that's what they do. They build cash flow businesses. Maybe there's some personal brand element. I know this is a spectrum. It's not a this versus this. But at the end of the day, I think so many people get worried about monetization when they're in that cash flow camp because they think that it's going to tarnish the brand that doesn't actually exist and will never come to fruition, right? So in that circumstance, get your fucking phones going. Get people on the phone upselling. Get your SMS going. Amanda was the one who introduced my team to SMS, and now I'm looking at it going, God damn, it's like email 1999.
Right. Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. So I don't know. That's my perspective on it. Know what you're doing in the long run, and then lean into that as hard as you possibly can. So
Tyler swore first. I'm just gonna say it. Like we were all like behaved and being,
did I swear first? Did I drop the open the F-bomb can?
It happens.
Yeah. Now all bets are off.
Yeah.
Right.
So on the SMS side, Amanda, have you noticed any change, upticks, revenue upticks right now, or any changes?
It depends. I mean, I'm getting more integrated doing integrating SMS with other email platforms to do more follow-up, abandoned cart stuff, and really just taking advantage of that, especially for some of my e-com brands right now. I'm not really noticing a change kind of for the better or worse for SMS right now, but what I am noticing is that any kind of like fear or any kind of tactic like that isn't really working on SMS right now. Like people are wanting like really uplifting, like positive messages, which when you think about it, it's like totally makes sense. Like the last thing I want to do is like be fear mongered when I'm like scrolling through my phone. So I'm finding the more I stick to those positive, like inspirational messages, even when it comes to sales stuff, just rather than taking, I don't really focus on like the fear of missing out when I'm, doing those kinds of messages. But yeah, I expected to see a big uptick in SMS sales over the last little while, but it's really staying consistent. But it depends on how you're bringing in and monetizing those people too. Like if people are, most of my clients are ramping up acquisition right now because their CPAs are the lowest they've been in a really long time. So if they've got their campaigns on SMS monetized properly and they're scaling acquisition, then we're seeing like a massive growth in text. But if they don't have those things dialed in, or if you're not having it, you're not going to have success either way if you don't have it dialed in correctly. So, but for the most part, it's plugging along. But I am seeing it pop up more and more, which I'm really happy to see. Like, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but my email inbox and like the ads that I'm seeing, like every marketing lesson I ever need to learn is at my fingertips right now. I am seeing the highest amount of innovation. Like I am seeing messaging that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really creative copy. I'm seeing lots of new things happening everywhere right now. So like my biggest advice is like spend 30 minutes of your day just going through your email inbox. Like go through, see what you're noticing is consistently happening across the board. Like I can't, like I've recycled so many of the ideas that I've seen come across my desk in the last little while, just because it's like, I'm inspired by all of the changes and the new things people are doing and innovating.
Do you have any examples from like the bigger brands that you've seen pivot well into this?
Yeah, you said it.
Pivot.
Pivot. I thought I wasn't committed to that. That was fully Amanda.
I actually found something really cool the other day, and once I noticed one brand doing it, I noticed somebody else doing it, or actually Amber brought it to my attention. So I bought a bunch of yoga clothes on aloyoga.com, and I noticed at the checkout, it's an e-com brand, but I noticed at the checkout that they added a free 30-day subscription to their at-home yoga classes. And like you can get rid of it in the cart if you want to, but I just like left it because it was a freebie. And then I got an email following up that was like, here, complete the registration to get the classes, and basically it was a short form sales letter, and it had like all of the benefits of the at-home yoga stuff, like before and after quarantine and whatever. And there was to complete the registration, you have to give a credit card for it to rebill in 20 days. So it's like, and I thought that was creative for a couple of reasons, but the big one was I liked the idea of introducing the continuity in a positive space, like in that positive interaction, like it's a freebie. They're introducing like most brands that have continuity, 90% of their buyers don't know that they have a continuity program that exists. So it's a really great way to plant the seed. It's a little bit aggressive to ask for the credit card right off the hop, but that's how they're going to make money, so they have to. But I thought that was a really good business strategy to, number one, introduce the idea of the continuity, and number two, they gave them an excuse to talk to me again and get my credit card from me again. So I thought that was really cool. That was a really a really different experience. But then Amber brought it to my attention that GoDaddy has been doing that too. So when you buy a new domain on GoDaddy, it gives you like a free 30 days of whatever specific service, and then it rebills after the 30 days. But I've started to notice that, and I haven't had a chance to test that concept yet. But most of my clients have continuity programs that I'm like itching to test this on, because I just thought the way that it was executed was really well. So, the three boys on the call, go buy your wives some yoga clothes. I made a joke about it the other day because I was sharing this in the Agora channel. I was like, so does this mean I can change some of my retail therapy and expense this, as research?
Have you all seen any increase in like refunds or cancellation rates on recurring billing products?
Yeah, we have seen a little bit of a decline in retention rates over the last like 1 month, particularly that first and second rebill.
Mhm.
So I think that's
I don't think we've really seen the full follow to that yet. I think people
Yeah.
got their stimulus checks. Like, I think we're gonna, in the next like 60 to 90 days is where that's like really gonna be um, a bigger issue.
I think if you're using that old legacy data though to determine like your LTV, you should probably do a reassessment, you know, because we did a recent reassessment and some of the ad campaigns that we had running that we were like, oh, these are great. We're profitable at month 4. All of a sudden we look at them and we're like, oh, we're profitable at month 9. Like what happened here, you know? So I think it's smart because people are going to be a little bit tighter on their spend to have that. But to comment on 2 things that Amanda said, one regarding either SMS or email, one little tip for people is that whatever channel you're acquiring your customers through, or not channel, but whatever style of funnel you're acquiring customers through is the style of funnel they're likely going to buy through. So if you have a free plus shipping offer, they're going to buy free plus shipping offers. If you have a CPL type of thing or an opt-in, they're going to opt in, right? And so, or long-form VSL webinar, whatever, like match those up. And that's when we see like the best revenue generated off stuff. You know, for example, we have a large free plus shipping customer list and we can run VSL stuff to them and it could do okay or whatever. Every free plus shipping offer we run to them, period, ever, always works. Like almost every single one, we've almost never had that fail. And so just knowing that is really helpful because then when you're running your SMS campaigns and your email campaigns, you can really think about creating that congruence of the type of person they are. Like some people just give their email and some people just buy free plus shipping because they're that discount hunter. And some people watch VSLs and that's just kind of their nature through and through, right? And then the other side of things was just, you know, we talked about membership a little bit. I would encourage everybody here. It doesn't matter if you're a brand or a cash flow business, you got to have membership. There's no better way to increase that lifetime value of your customer by having a membership program. And I got to tell you, you know, when this whole thing hit and everybody was like scratching their heads, like what's going to happen right now? You know, I've got $1 million in ARR coming in the brand, right? So I'm like, I don't have to worry, right? Like if I turn down acquisition, I actually make more money the next month because I'm not offsetting the losses for several months on the acquisition side of things. So I think there's something really nice about having that MRR and that like runway that feels a lot better than if, for example, my volume went down by 50% and I didn't have the MRR in place. Now all of a sudden my actual revenue goes down by 50%. But since I've got all these people from the past that are still rebilling and recurring, it makes us feel a lot more peaceful in our position in this market as well. So if you don't have a membership, like just do it. And it can be as simple as you have a Facebook group and you're doing lives every week. Like that's as simple as it can get. You don't have to fucking build anything at that point. Just set it up and then just treat the people great, you know? So
do you leverage like affiliate offers as well that have recurring revenue built on and count that as like monthly recurring revenue, where you're getting commission on an ongoing basis for rebills?
are you talking about as a traffic driver?
Yeah.
So I don't like to do any like lifetime commission structures or anything like that. We always negotiate front end CPAs because when you get enough bankruptcy letters in the mail on lifetime commissions and things that go like that, you start going, give me my money now. Otherwise, you know, like it's just not a good deal. So,
and so I have a question so real quick, for everybody watching, I'm actually shocked. We have 0 questions. We have Tyler Bramlett, Amanda Dobson, and Thomas McMahon here, and nobody has a question yet. So
It's because we don't shut up long enough.
I know we don't shut up long enough. Get your questions in. Otherwise, I'm going to keep asking questions. So I do have a question for you guys.
Ryan, before we pivot, I just want to comment on something.
Oh, you said it.
Oh, pivot.
So you do us all the drink? Is that how that works? Or is that...
I wanted to revisit something that Tyler said. He mentioned, you know, giving people the type of offers that they come into your business on. And I wanted to make an important note on that because it's a lesson that I've learned, a tough lesson that I've learned over the last couple of years. Really look at the net numbers of your business and figure out when you're bringing in customers, if those customers over time are even worth having. Like there's been a lot of times where we've tested offers to keep conversion rates up, where we have a continuity offer that includes a free book, or will allow them to just buy the free book. That free book, like the conversion was really high so that it brought down our CPAs and those people were coming in, but then they weren't buying anything else. So yeah, our CPAs were lower. Yeah, our conversion rate was higher, but at the end, actually removing that book, we netted out better because those people were buying other things along in the process. Like a physical product buyer is going to buy a physical product. An info product buyer is going to buy an info product, you know, with very little exceptions to that rule. So know your net numbers of your business and don't just base the decisions that you make on the gross. Really look at like whether even having that offer or having those people on your list or in your business is even worthwhile to you. Because yeah, it's great to have a really great list and a big list of cheap leads, but if they're cheap leads that just cost you more on email sending or, spam complaints, it's just not worth going through the hassle. So I just wanted to comment on that, like just making sure that you understand, what those buyers are worth and how they behave.
I think that's key too for when you're looking for like new affiliate relationships, right? Is what type of offers have they built their list on
That's one
previously,
of the
kind of
best,
thing, right? It's
especially
like,
if you're doing, Megan will probably agree with this. I know she's listening in, but like when you're doing list rentals, asking how the list was built is so important because I've seen
right.
some freaking Frankenstein lists.
To comment on that, I think it just
Absolutely.
brings up a really good point that I feel the more I talk with people, the less I have confidence that people are actually executing on this. But like most of the people who are entrepreneurs in this space are kind of the more creative brains, right? They're like getting after it. They're creative. They're writing copy. They're doing their thing, but they're not as much that kind of like math and that logical side of things. And you really need somebody in your business or a consultant or somebody to come look at this. Like the ability to get great data in your company right now has never been easier and never been cheaper. And yet so few people are actually leveraging that intelligently. And like, I even thought we were doing a good job with it. I've got like a great team that's looking at this data on a very frequent basis and updating this stuff. And then we brought in a new chief growth officer for the brand that we're building, who has a lot of experience in SaaS companies and is very technical. And within like 1 month, he had better data, more granular, like everything set up, like automated. And it was just, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why, how, like, we've been doing this for like years and it's way better. Like we can look at like an individual ad and we can see this ad, if I spend $1 today, I'm going to make $3.40 at 1 year. Right. And so that's the way I look at our business in a lot of ways, is like as an investor, right? If I want to put $100 into the stock market and make 8% year over year, that's fine, whatever, great. But I know I can put $1 in my business and make 100% year over year. That's how I'm going to grow this thing and grow this thing and grow this thing and grow this thing. And so many of us, we get to that, multiple
Day zero, yeah.
figure mark, and then we start buying, nice cars and going on vacations and shit like that. And it's like, that's the time to take all that fucking money and buy traffic and scale and just keep building this business up, because it's not the time to take money off the table, right? It's the time to keep that growth going. So
Yeah,
anyway.
I remember I was talking to, it was actually a ClickBank Platinum. I was talking to Brad Howard. And I was like, so Brad, tell me, like, when you first started scaling, you had a good product, what happened? He's like, or do you have any advice for me? Because I'm always picking brains. He's like, well, when you get that first product or that first big thing that year, bank all that money and reinvest in the business, because next year it's going to be gone. I was like, that's a good one. But a real quick question, guys. So trying to look into the future, the experts, I'm watching the news. They say obviously cities and states are reopening starting tomorrow slightly and over the next month or two. But they also say it could come back in the fall and in the winter and could even be worse. So is there anything a company could do or you guys are doing now to think ahead to prepare for that? Or should they start like saying, start a membership program, start SMS, like start new revenue streams? Or what would you guys recommend a company does to try to protect themselves come this fall and winter?
All of the above.
Yeah, I think it's a move to digital. It's really big, right? Like it's whether, even if you're already in digital, right? What other assets are you building to kind of offer to your buyer list and to your customer list? That's what we see all these big brands trying to pivot to, who are relying on front end sales with physical products. They're kind of left scratching their heads, unless you're like selling, unless you have inventory with at home fitness equipment. I mean, that's like sold out right now, and I think that's going to continue to sell well throughout the next, 6, 12, 18 months maybe, because people are going to be afraid to go to gyms. I mean, I can't buy a kettlebell in Boise. It's crazy. Like,
Rocking that dad bod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm doubling down on dad bod now. I've actually lost weight. People can go running easier, right? If you're out in Idaho and away from people, but yeah, but I think it's that move to digital, that kind of accessible content that's really easy for people to consume at home. And then I think too, what Tyler's hit on a lot is leveraging assets you might not even recognize you have, right? And being able to tie into that. And that's where I would highly recommend getting on the phone with a consultant and what do you have that you're not leveraging? I haven't looked into data on this, but I'd be really curious to know what direct mail is doing right now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, direct mail is killing for us right now. So I just did our first couple of direct mail campaigns over at Agora, and our first one just absolutely, we mailed our first one. It was my first direct mail campaign, like full campaign, overseeing it like ever. And we mailed it in January and it absolutely crushed it. So I had Clayton Makepeace working with me, kind of like guiding me on that one. So, it's very sad to hear about him. So we decided to mail it again in April, and we had already made the decision and kind of like committed to the idea before, the C virus biatch came to town. And so, I was talking to the people over at Net Effect who have been working with us on all of our direct mail campaigns. They're great. So if you guys are looking to like get started with direct mail, Net Effect is awesome. And I talked to them, I was like, hey, like, are we going to see any drop off here? And they told us that like everything stayed pretty consistent. They're not seeing any like major fall off, given like direct mail campaigns. I'm so used to that like immediate gratification of knowing it, like immediately once I send an email, like I like seeing the numbers roll in the door. Like I'm the person that's like refreshing the screen constantly. So like the patience of trying to like mail out a direct mail campaign and wait for those numbers to roll in is so painful. But it is a longer process, like it takes like 30, 60, 90 days before you start seeing some real indication of results for that. So, I think they're just kind of in the peak of what would be impacting them. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been in quarantine. So I think if they're going to see any impact, it's going to be about now. But we mailed the campaign in April, and like we're already seeing really great numbers coming in. And for us, like one of the big metrics we watch is like the people that are new to our imprint at Agora. So Agora consists of a few different imprints. So for me, when I was looking at the stats for our January mailing, it was 75% new names that were new to us completely, which is insane. Like we just don't see numbers like that anymore. And it made me realize that direct mail is such a forgotten channel, but there's so much promise in it. And all we did when we launched that campaign is we took our top performing Gilder offer that we've been running online for months. And we just made a few tweaks to that, and we ran it in direct mail, and it's kicking ass. So I'm down for direct mail. It's like my now that I've got like the taste of it, I'm just like I'm gonna be pushing direct mail.
First one's free.
I'm just gonna do like a 180. I'm gonna go like from fully digital, like
from
automated
SMS
to snail mail.
Yeah.
So we do have our first question. Thank you, Jeff, and it is for Tyler. So Tyler, are you guys using a dashboard like Praxis Metrics to get visibility or doing your own?
Let's say that one more time.
So the question was, are you using a dashboard like Praxis, Praxis metrics to get visibility or doing your own?
We use Google's Data Studio right now. So we push all the data into that pipeline and set it up there. There's a lot of different platforms. We were using Tableau before, which is another like data warehouse that you can kind of skin everything. None of us really adopted Tableau as much as we would have liked in terms of like leveraging it, but Data Studio seems to be a much better fit for what it is that we're doing right now. So yeah, I definitely think that you need to put it into a software, but here's the thing, like I could barely get on this Zoom call. That's how untechnical I am, right? I'm sitting there like, what, like, how do I get in there? I think that a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we like want to do everything ourselves, right? And one of my consulting clients is doing really well right now and scaling up. And we're trying to bring in other people to help in that organization. And I think that you'll be surprised once you get to a certain point, like, if you can spend $200,000 to bring somebody in who's an absolute rock star, that person's going to be worth millions and millions and millions of dollars to you. Or at least free up your time so that you can generate more millions of dollars. And one of the mistakes that we make early on is we do everything. We set up the WordPress site, we build the site. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I think that might be good in the start. It's good to get your fingers wet and understand a little bit of each thing. But at some point, you have to bring in people who are smarter than you. And basically all of my time right now is spent just making sure that there's people that are way smarter than me around me. And
That's so smart. That's one of the top 5 reasons that I see businesses fail is that either top management or owners are scared to bring in people that are smarter than them in specific areas, and they unintentionally hold themselves back. I see it everywhere, and it's so sad because like the people around you absolutely should be smarter than you at what you're paying them to do. If you're not hiring someone that's smarter than you, you're making the wrong move.
100%. And I think that there's also this thought process around, bringing somebody in and training them up. And there's times for that. And then there's times for bringing somebody in who knows what they're doing and having them train a team up for you and build that side of things. So I think that, you know, particularly as it relates to data, like, oh man, I've tried to like make the data work myself and like invent and innovate systems. And we, like, you know, we bootstrapped it and made it work for several years there. But when we brought in a CTO who had a lot of experience, and then we brought in a chief growth officer who had even more technical experience to collaborate with the CTO to rebuild it, it's just like, oh my God, it keeps getting better and better. And
I will say there, be
What's
very careful. Like that's amazing. And like, I think that's just, God, that just sounds awesome to have all that data, but making sure you understand it. Like every once in a while, I'll go back to manually pulling numbers myself, like for things basic like email performance,
Sure.
because I need to understand the numbers. Like if you're just blindly looking at a report or a sheet full of numbers, it's so easy to just scan over it and blindly look at it. But when you get like emotionally involved with the numbers because you're like pulling them yourself, or you really understand them because someone is like describing them to you, like sit down with your CTO, describe what those numbers mean, what the levers that impact those numbers are, and then what the impact is on your gross and your bottom line. Yeah. It's just sometimes having too much data is a bad thing when you don't know how to filter it and you don't know how like the cause and effect of those numbers. So that is really great, but I just want to make sure that like you focus on understanding what the data means and how you can affect it.
Choose what you want to know. Choose what you want to know, and then let that trickle down. So like for me, what I want to know is how much money did we spend today? How much money did we make today? How much money do we expect to make off what we spent today? How much did it cost to run the business? And then that just tells me, am I trending the right direction? Am I trending the wrong direction? And then if I want to take that more granular, okay, let's look at that by funnel. And let's split up the operational expenses, the OpEx, across the different amount of funnels. Okay, let's split that up by funnel by source. Let's split that up by funnel by source by ad, right? And so basically every person in your organization can own a little piece of this pie, right? So I just want to look at the top. Right? I just want to look at the top. I want to look at it once a week. I want to make sure we're trending in the right direction. And then I want my media buyer to look at every single ad they're running as the same type of metrics, but in a very granular level. And on our emailers, every single type of metrics we're talking about, but on a granular level. So, you know, just like taking that and skinning it apart, but making sure the organization as a whole has an understanding of what it is that we're doing with the cash that we're putting out there.
Well, that's why your staff or your teammates need to know their key performance indicators too, though. Like they need to understand what the metrics are that determine success or failure for them. Because a lot of times, like we just expect everyone to be watching the numbers everywhere all the time. And if people don't know what the metrics they're looking at, or if they're placing more emphasis on metrics that really aren't that important, like we always call them vanity metrics. Like, yeah, we increased followers on Instagram this week. Well, yeah, that's great. But how are those followers, you know, translating into that cash money? But it's just really important to understand, like for everybody on your team, I usually assign no more than 3 key metrics for any given team member to be following. I just find any more than that, like the data just gets lost, the reporting falls through the cracks and doesn't happen. So usually, you know, three metrics that they have to report to me, you know, at some point throughout the week.
I'm just gonna give a quick plug for Vinny Fisher and Fully Accountable. If people are worried about like, how do I even start getting that data and kind of finding my leaky bucket and where's money coming in and going out. He's been a huge resource for some of ClickBank's top clients, right? To kind of be able to tighten that up and plug those holes and kind of provide that CFO level reporting or that collaboration with the CFO. So it's Fully Accountable with Vinny Fisher.
Yeah.
Vinny
And
was the nicest guy. When I met Vinny for the first time, I was just an assistant, like making like next to nothing. I knew nothing about anything. We were one of his clients and he came to our office and he was just like the sweetest, nicest guy. Like he's one of those guys that treats like the waiter the same guy, like the same way as the CEO. Like Vinny's just the best, nicest guy.
And his team is really good. And the first time I met him in person, it was out here in Vegas not too long ago. I felt like we were best friends for years. Like he's that kind of guy. And, and I've worked with some of his team as well since then. And his team he just put an incredible team. So again, if you guys are worried about the numbers yourself, you're an ADD kid like me and you just can't do that. Your brain doesn't work that way. Recognize that, right? And accept it, but then go and find the Vinny Fishers or the Fully Accountable and try to find help, because if you need to know your numbers before you can scale.
Chris Mercer is like, as far as setting up data dashboards and getting
Chris is legit. Yeah,
Chris Mercer is like the man when it comes to, you know, setting up Google Data Studio and cleaning up analytics. Like for what he charges to get it all up and operational and getting you reporting, it's not even worth me trying to waste my time to set it up. So Mercer, he does a lot of trainings and stuff too. So if you want to learn yourself, then you've got that option. But he's another option. He's great.
I think I just want to say one thing about that too. I just go back to the I remember when I was doing everything, right, and I was trying to scale offers. I don't know where people are at in this in their life cycle of building a business, but I think that I gave a talk in Vegas back in February, right before this whole crazy thing happened, and I had this big part of it where I was talking about scale and fail, because I see so many businesses do that. They go up and they go down, and they go up and they go down, but ultimately over the course of years, it's just kind of flatlined, right? And I believe the reason why most people scale and fail is because they think they have the skill sets to run and build this business by themselves. And the reality is it's most likely not true. And the majority of the entrepreneurs I meet in the digital marketing space are the ones who came in, they learned how to write copy, they bootstrap the code, they get it going, blah, blah, blah. And then they start building teams. They're not really good at managing them. They don't set up systems. They're just like, go, 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 right? And what you really need is you need somebody to come in and help you do those types of day-to-day operational pieces. And at first I was very resistant to this stuff. Just like Amanda was talking about, most people are going to feel resistant to bringing in people who are better than them in a lot of ways, because you're so used to being the person that was responsible for all of it. But as time has gone on, bringing in these people has just given me so much more like confidence and faith that this business will run without me. Like, there's a reason why I'm on this call instead of doing the actual work, because I have the freedom and the time to do it. So I would encourage everybody to like sit there and think about like, what is the yin to your yang? Like, who's the person you need in your organization that's going to pick up the pieces, that's going to build the team, set up the processes, get the insurance, legal, HR, like all the stuff buttoned up that you'll need to actually build this into something that's legit, so that you scale, stabilize, instead of scale and fail, which is what happens over and over again. I don't know how many people I've met who've been in this game way longer than I have, who just flatline, right? Because all they do is new product, scale it up, new product, scale it up, everything fails, and just rinse repeat over and over again.
Yeah, they're just offer launchers. Yeah.
One of the things that I found behind that a lot is whether like we have as business owners want to admit it or not, a lot of times ego comes into play there. Like, we get so used to being the hero, the one that has to come in and save the day. Like, this business could never run without me kind of thing. When really like our goal is to get our businesses running without us. But we have such a problem with our own egos and just maintaining control. Hey, I'll admit it. I'll be the one. But, like, we have control issues, and, we have entrepreneurs. We have so many character flaws.
Just a personal story on that. I brought in this chief growth officer, and he comes in and he's like doing all these different things that I was doing way better. And he's like scaling all this stuff up. And we had this offsite leadership meeting where we're going over all of our Q2 goals and whatnot recently. And I'm just like freaking out on the call, like, how are we going to do this? And what are you going to implement? And then my wife, who runs our company, she's our COO. She's just like, just go away. Just go away. Get out of here. Just leave for 3 months and come back. The SaaS product will be done. We'll be ready to roll this thing out. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to go focus on the email agency and just see if I can grow this up, right? So I can't sit still, but on the same note, sometimes it's better to take your efforts, let somebody else do the work, and just trust that those people are the right people for the team, and have those metrics like you talked about. If you have the metrics, why are you worried? If they look good, just let people do their jobs,
Yep.
I love that.
One of the books to help people understand like what personality type they are, because sometimes you think you're the innovator, but really you're the builder, and sometimes you think you're the builder when really you're not. But Rocket Fuel is a really great book to help you understand that dynamic. I've been like talking about this book for years. There's a couple of books that kind of talk about it, but Rocket Fuel was the one that hit home for me, that made me really understand the role of the visionary versus the implementer. So it's basically the concept of rock stars and superstars. So your rock stars are the ones that keep your business consistent and stable. And they're the ones that are doing the day-to-day stuff that keeps your business running. Whereas the superstars are the people that have the new ideas, the new concepts. They're the riskier people. So you've got the balance of the risk and the innovation and the consistency that you need to keep the business flowing on the day-to-day, so that you don't scale and fail.
Yeah. That's why we brought in this chief growth officer at the end of the day, was because the most of our team are those kind of rock stars. They keep things running, they keep things moving, but they're not like generating the new ideas and generating like new revenue streams and things like that. And I needed somebody to come in and do that beside me, because I'm terrible at doing that and getting teams to do that. I'm great as a single contributor, but I fail as like a team leader in that respect. So we had to bring somebody in who could do both the innovation, but build teams out to be able to execute that. And what's shocking to me is that, I mean, like, truth be told, like, it's not costing us that much money to bring this person in, and he's extremely well paid. But I mean, I give hundreds of thousands of dollars for millions and millions of dollars any day of the week. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's the opportunity cost.
A couple questions. Well, one's more of a statement, one's a question. The first question is from Kristen Hayes. Thank you, Kristen. So she wants to know, are you guys seeing a better response from affiliates or ads?
Yeah, that's, I'll start there. For me, it's a little bit of both, because the biggest affiliates I work with are running ads, right? So that's a bad answer, but you know, ad costs right now are way down, even if conversions are a little down, but I kind of disagree with that based on the data I'm seeing. But so people are able to scale pretty big on paid ads right now. It's a lot less competitive. You know, the big brands have kind of pulled out. Who knows how long that will last. But then, like we've kind of been chatting about already, the affiliates that are running volume are often the sellers themselves too, with offers that they're building that list on. And those have been up in a big way. I will say though, like with COVID-19, I mean, people are sick, people's families are sick, right? So there's people that I usually chat with weekly that I haven't heard from. They're just kind of probably just hunkering down and making sure that they're okay and kind of taking care of business kind of thing. So I think it's a one-to-one personal thing more often, and just being being empathetic and aware that if you haven't heard from someone, they might be going through some stuff, and to reach out and just to connect on a human level, not a business level. It's pretty big. Because yeah, everything's up in our business, right? I mean, there's certain niches that are down, but overall direct response is up in a big way. And that goes across affiliates and ads. But the affiliate is a much more one-to-one personal relationship that you can kind of help make sure things are going well there.
And on an affiliate level, this is the time. I know a lot of affiliate managers, I definitely teach this in my class, like they reach out to people when they need something. Right? And you train your affiliate that says, oh, when I see an email from this person, they want me to promote. They see me as a dollar sign. So take this opportunity right now to reach out to your affiliates. Just literally go down your Skype and scroll down and see who you haven't talked to in a while, and just say, hey, how you doing? And don't ask for anything, and just say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? How are you doing? How's your family?
The important lesson there, and I know Megan's amazing at this, but the important lesson here is the affiliates who always did that are the ones that are benefiting now. Like the ones who put the effort into those relationships. Like I know Megan and Amber push this really hard. I know Ali Shaw's here as well. They put so much emphasis on the relationships and building those connections. They've built up the consistency in their offers. And those are the people, like when you're running a list and you're responsible for the bottom line, I want to go for consistency offers I know perform. If I don't have some kind of assurance on new offers, but I know, like, just making sure that this is the time to sow all of the seeds that were planted, years ago, and have those relationships that have been built up over time. This isn't like a quick launch an offer and spam everybody, to try and get them to run it. This is the rely on the people that, you've already built those relationships with, and, you have some good.
Yeah. Well, like we chatted about earlier, right? Like affiliates are becoming more willing to test other types of offers too. So instead of just the whole focus on, I need more affiliates, you can usually just go deeper right now with the affiliate relationships you already have and kind of widen what you're doing with them. So
I also think that when you ask a question like, what's working, affiliates, paid, I don't look at those as like in competition with each other.
Yeah, that should be complementary. Yeah.
That's like saying, oh, what should you focus on, acquisition or monetization? Like, it's like, you just have to have both. Like you have to do it all the time, I mean, obviously there's a lower hanging fruit and you have limited capacity, but I think both can work in particular, but lean into obviously what's working. I think that's a good idea. And Ryan, I just want to say thank you for saying that, because I don't know how many people never hear back from me because of that process, right? And I'm not even the wrong person to talk to. Like, there's other people in the now that we should be trying to find it to butter them up to get some traffic your way. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's just so much. And even people trying to do it well still don't do it well. Like, if you send me a box in the mail with your product, and then you're like, hey, I sent you this product. Isn't that cool? Can you promote? I'm like, there wasn't $100 bill in the product. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't like, you didn't buy me some Gucci shoes or anything like that. Let's
you know how to get it done, ladies and gentlemen. Gucci. What's your size, Tyler?
I think it's a 9.5 euro, I think, or something like that. I don't know. No, I'm just saying like that true relationship build is super important. And so many people, even when I was running everything in my company myself, it was about building those relationships. It was about compelling messages. I remember I did a free plus shipping book launch back in 2016, I think. And all the big affiliates, they got a book with a laminated $100 bill in the bookmark, right? And it's just like little tidbits like that make a humongous difference on somebody's willingness to say, oh, I'm going to go in on this person, right? So I'm not suggesting you guys don't send me anything. Seriously, don't. I don't need anything. But at the end of the day, like, just taking those approaches and building those relationships and being authentic in them is so powerful. And giving before you get, not just like sending something nice, but like, hey, can I send you some traffic? Like
Right.
that goes such a huge long way. So.
That ties back into like if we're expecting another wave in the fall or later on in this year, if you haven't been doing those things, start doing that stuff now so you can be prepared.
And one of my most popular talks or speeches I give whenever I talk to people or train people is what I call, and it's not even my term, it is a general term, but I teach ROR, return on a relationship, versus ROI. ROI is dollar amount, dollars and cents that your boss, your client needs right away from that event or right away from this. But ROR, that's what builds your business. That's what gets you through all the time. And you can't build ROR overnight. You got to do it. And if anybody listening, one of the best things I've seen over and over again, and very few people do this, to build ROR is get a card, handwrite a card, custom, and mail it to someone. Even if there's nothing in it, saying, hey, Tyler, I know everyone's going through quarantine. Hope you and your family are doing okay. Ryan, send that in the mail to them. It's amazing what a handwritten card will do.
Unless it's Tyler, and then you got to put a hundy in there.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
Gucci gift card. Yeah.
Yeah. I do accept $100 bills, laminated or not. So
How do you delaminate it? Huh?
yeah.
And a laminated $100 bill.
Yeah. And then, in the chat, we just had, I think Dee said that Cody Bramlett, I don't know if anybody knows that dude. He's a weird guy. But said that he reached out to her just saying, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? And literally 15 minutes later, someone asked in the group, are there any good offers? And she recommended Cody's offers. And that's a perfect example of ROR, like just paying it forward, just being a good person. Like seriously, just be a good person, guys. And don't see your,
I know this particular group struggles with that concept, but be a good person.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Thomas.
Don't be an asshole. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Megan just said she received a handwritten note from Jim Muldoon last week, and it made your day. And those little things go a long way.
Oh yeah, and people love them.
I supported a book launch earlier this year. I guess not. No, it was in the fall of last year. And when the book arrived for me, like my sample book had a handwritten Post-it note on it, but they had actually gotten customized little bookmarks that like it's me as a cartoon.
Oh, funny.
So I thought
awesome.
I thought that was really cool. That was just like a lot of extra effort. And then what was really smart is he included 2 books, and the Post-its was like, hey, Amanda, like just wanted to, thank you for supporting, and here's a copy of the book. And then the Post-it note on the other one says, oh, by the way, I gave one that you can give to a friend too. I was like, oh, that's good.
That's a good idea.
That is pretty good.
That's good.
Do we have any more questions from the panel or from the attendees? Because I'm not seeing any. We'll give you guys a few moments, and if not, we can wrap things up. Because we're about an hour in. We have another half hour we can schedule or we can have, but if there are no questions, obviously I don't want to tie everybody's time up. Are there anything last things anybody wants to talk about?
Well, while we wait for questions to come in, I was the only one, it kind of came up earlier that was talking about just like interesting things that I'm seeing. So I just want to put it to Thomas and Tyler. Are you guys seeing anything different? All the way from ads to operations, are you seeing anything that's different?
Well, I mean, it's volatile. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing from like a more macro perspective. Like I'm not in the weeds on the ad buying or anything, but what I do know is that day to day, when I see the data, it's like one day it's like, wow, this is amazing. And the next day it's like, oh my God. It's like, and it just seems to be like, it almost looks like the stock market right now. You know what I mean? It's like these like super volatile changes instead of less volatility and more consistency. So like some days we're seeing like better ROI than we've seen in the year. And then other days we're seeing worse ROI than we've seen in the year. And so again, I think that goes back to just making sure that your data is really dialed and like you can make good decisions based on that data. But I don't know. As far as day-to-day stuff, that's the biggest needle mover I'm seeing is just the need to watch everything a little bit closer as you keep these systems moving.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Thomas. Sorry.
I just know I guess I'm very fortunate to be in the direct response marketing space right now. It is
very
crazy how well offers are doing across the board, right? I mean, we see top offers perform even better than they ever have, but we see in general, just like the big niches doing well, right? So obviously it is volatile across specific offers, but just day to day, things are going really well. What I'm excited for in a way, right, is like I meet a ton of people right now or last year or throughout the last few years, like, oh, I got into direct response marketing during the 07, 08 crash, right? Because they needed to find a new revenue stream. They needed to pivot, kind of get out of what they were doing, right? And I think we're going to see that too in the years to come. We're going to see big new players that got into the space because they had to make a move and had to get out of what they were currently doing because they were laid off, because they're, whatever business kind of fell through. So I think we're going to see a surge again, and we're going to see the fresh faces come to play in the next 12 to 18 months kind of thing, and start to kind of gain traction there. So that's what I'm excited for, is just that kind of insert.
And we're going to see, we touched about it earlier, but the ingenuity, the different kinds of thinking on how to market, how to attract, customers, email acquisition. So I think it's going to be a fun time to see all that and witness that and be a part of it.
And we talked about those rock stars, like those people are on discount right now. Those people are on discount. They're on discount.
Oh, yeah.
Great chief operating officers and chief marketing officers and chief financial officers and data and CTO and all that. Those people are on sale. So
I joke, it's like if you've been like a middle or low performer kind of thing at a company for a while, you should be feeling really nervous because there's some rock stars that are chomping at the bit. Yeah.
Tyler is telling us that humans are on sale and then he loves Gucci. I'm starting to I have this picture of you in my head and it's not looking so bright right now, Tyler.
Megan asked a good question though. Are there any new threats we're seeing to the industry? We've talked a lot about the good opportunities right now, but are there any new threats you're seeing to our industry and business? Maybe not now, but in the next years to come or something like that from this.
This is a compliance wake-up call for everybody.
Thank you.
I'm seeing the FTC come out in full force, monitoring keywords. And, for those of you who don't put compliance on, the front burner, then you're going to be screwed at one point or another. But I think this was a big reminder that the whole industry needed, not just compliance in regards to what you say in your offers, but things like email compliance, text message compliance, making sure that you're following the rules, because at the end of the day, it only takes one text message that's non-compliant or one email that's non-compliant to completely wipe out a revenue stream. And no one can afford that right now. So paying attention to dotting your I's and crossing your T's is so important right now.
So ClickBank has seen an influx in new account signups, right? Just from all kinds of different, a lot of them are affiliates, it's a lot of the newbie affiliates, which is a great thing, but it's also a worrisome thing because newbies don't really know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're doing might be bad, right? They don't know what compliance is. They don't know that what they might be doing could be spam, right? They could just be buying a cheap list from someone because they were told to do it by a less reputable MMO brand or offer kind of thing, right? So that's something to be mindful of as we're working with new affiliates, getting an idea of what are they going to be doing for you when your offer? Are they just going to be promoting, are they going to, last night I got hit up by a contact who had been getting spammed by an affiliate posing as a bunch of different kind of well-known personal development brand names kind of thing, right? And I don't know if it's malicious, it could just be ignorance, but it's one of those things where it's that could tie back to your offer if you're not being careful, right? Because that is promoting for your offer if you're that brand. Now the offer itself they're promoting was doing some not compliant stuff too. So, but it's a great example. Thanks for calling that out. Yeah.
I think it's a slippery slope too. I mean, to me, the ignoring compliance is just a recipe for that scale and fail model that we talked about. And everybody, has to push the limit. I've watched the limits be pushed more and more over the years as I watch things unfold. And honestly, if you look at the offers we have at scale, on paid media right now, you'd be like, how is this working? It's really benign. It's hey, look, here's how to cook tasty stuff that's keto friendly. Get the cookbook. That's really kind of the stuff that we're running. And it feels very benign. It doesn't work great on affiliate traffic, but it does work great on Facebook traffic. So I think that, people need to be smart about that side of things too. Just understanding that if you are somebody who's pushing the bounds, somebody else is going to push the bounds harder. And then the only way to figure it out is to either push the bounds harder or to try a different way about it. So, we leaned into that different way 3 or 4 years ago, and it's paid off quite well. And, you know, once you get paid streams rolling really consistently, you know, all the affiliate traffic in the world can't really compete with that. So I definitely think it's consider.
One of the other threats that I'm seeing is, you know, a lot of the people that I work with are scaling right now because acquisition costs are so low, but the whole business is readjusting to that. You know, like the expenses are readjusting to that. Our monetization schedule is adjusting to that. So one of the fears that, you know, I'm building offers and building businesses based on these new realities. So my fear a little bit is that when the big competitors start to come back on Facebook, the ad inventory is lower. You know, we start to see that our CPAs start to climb, and, you know, I've adjusted the business to suit the numbers that I'm seeing right now. Like, just that having to readjust back and scale back is a fear for me. So it's trying to, more than ever, I'm trying to find those new networks that people aren't running on. Like, I'm trying to find the nooks and crannies, because I know that when businesses start to get back into the swing of things after the big wipe of coronavirus, Facebook is going to be a shit show. So, and it's going to take the algorithm, it's going to take Facebook a long time to figure out how to reallocate and how for them to adjust.
Yeah.
So I'm like bracing myself for impact.
It's also an election year, right? So.
Got another question from Jeff Rowe here. Jeff, have you guys seen the same boost in the personal development niche as other niches, example, MMO, wellness, fitness? Have you seen the same boost in the PD niche? Which I think we kind of talked about it in terms of like manifestation and kind of everyone trying to bring in these, you know.
I don't know if this is necessarily personal development, could be, but we featured it on the money, Darcy and I featured it on the Money Call, but one of the percentage-wise, one of the biggest growth products is learn a new language, learn Spanish, because people are home. Let's do something with their lives, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, because I haven't personally seen like what we'd call personal development scaling as big. Some of the, you know, established brands are still doing just fine and still doing scale. But like you were mentioning, the self-help niche has, which I think you could argue is personal development, right? Just probably not what we would call it, the manifestation kind of style of personal development niches. The self-help has been blowing up, right? That's been really big. So if you count that as personal development, Jeff Rowe, yes, it's doing really well. If you're looking at just like the manifestation offers, I haven't seen those. I can't say for sure they're doing worse or bad or better. I just haven't seen them doing the same type of scale that we've seen like fitness and weight loss and make money online and stuff like that.
Have you guys seen any verticals go down? Because which ones?
So finance did initially, at least from what I was seeing, just kind of the finance Forex exchange offers, those were going down initially, but I've heard anecdotally from some of the like, or people at Agora and stuff like that, that it's come back big. So it might have just been a shock and awe when the market first started crashing. So that was like the first blood in the water that I was getting sense from people that were promoting exclusively financial offers were hitting me up just going, I need different types of offers to promote. What do you got? Right. But I've heard it's come back. So I don't want to like lean into that too much.
Amanda, how's Agora doing?
You know what? We're about to post our biggest month so far this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of our offers that we had run in the past had just kind of seen some fatigue and had fallen off, like our Side Hustle Bible, which is 177 ways to make different streams of income. That's made a comeback. We've got a couple of like re-leads for that. The George Gilder offer that we've been running for the last like couple of months is just won't die. Like, it's for some reason people are just loving that offer right now, and we're just getting creative. Like, we're spending a lot more time writing re-leads, testing new advertorials. You know, we're using more of what we've got. We're pouring resources into the offers we know are proven and are solid buyers for us. So it's a good experience for us. It's a good experience for our affiliates. But I mean, like, I'm so excited because like we're scaling like none other. Like, most days we're top of the Zambezi, which is like our daily Agora report, which is really awesome. Like, we're kicking ass. Megan and Chelsea, who are my affiliate managers at Agora, they're kicking ass. They're posting like their best sales numbers that we've had in a little while. On the acquisition side, we are just scaling to the moon. We're doing like 2 or 3 times the amount of daily acquisitions that we normally do at CPAs that are below what we're used to. And that's why I'm saying, like, I'm adjusting my strategy for the business to these amazing numbers. And I just like know something's going to happen to bring me back down to earth. But, you know, we're getting really smart. We're testing direct mail again. You know, we're diversifying, but, you know, we're not really seeing any hit. We're plugging along and having a lot of success right now. So team's working really hard. Everybody's motivated. I don't know, like maybe I just need to keep everybody remote. Like people are getting shit done.
Well, and that was another question. Actually, Perry Belcher talked about it a couple weeks ago, said he believes America as a whole, corporate America, this whole thing's they're going to realize that they don't need an office per se, or as big of an office, and that their workers actually can work and thrive.
I've been trying to explain this to Perry for years. So I ran all of Perry's companies for 3 years straight. Yeah. I did it remotely. I've like never been, I live in Canada for Christ's sakes. So I ran his companies for years, and he kept, like after I left the company, he kept trying to hire people all in office. Like he just was dead set, like you must be in office. And he could never find anyone to run the companies as efficiently as I did. But my communication was forced to be good. And I was forced to make sure that we had systems and processes and stuff in place because I was remote. Like there was so much pressure taken off when people were in the office. So I think it's really funny. Like we had this, he came to me around Christmas time this year. He's like, I don't like to tell you that you're right about things, but I think you might've been right. So,
yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. How's Tyler, how's it been working remotely with your company?
I was surprised everybody transitioned rather nicely because we have a pretty nice office here that everybody was working in. And I do value, personally, I value the ability to collaborate one-on-one. I'm an extrovert. Like I want to be moving around. And I still think that, for example, our leadership team meetings and things like that would be more efficient in person, just because there's just so much more that you can see off somebody's face when you're next to them or their body language than if you're just kind of over a Zoom call or whatnot. But I think that the majority of the team has done really well. We are struggling on a couple things, namely like the content that we generate for different platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. It's just because we have a really good film crew that would come up and like show up and like set up and do all this stuff. And now we're having to kind of bootstrap some of that. But that being said, everybody so far has been doing really good. We've had to have those painful conversations where we look at an inventory of our team as a whole and say like, who's really producing and who's really not producing. And like literally like everybody's producing, and we just keep looking at it going like, fuck, everybody's producing, like, keep the ball rolling forward. So in a lot of ways, I think it did give us the freedom to start thinking about some of those topics that we're talking about. Like, hey, do we need to have a customer service team in-house, or can we build them remotely? Do we need to have this in-house, or can we build that remotely? And so I think that it's definitely given us a lot of perspective on that. And to me, the only thing that I'm thinking about more than anything, with regard to what both Thomas and Amanda said on the margins and the traffic costs decreasing, is just tightening those margins, right? So, whereas before I might have an expectation of a 50% year one ROI on the dollar, I'm trying to push it to 200, or something like that, right? So just really tightening down the belt a little bit and just making sure that our team is focusing on being as efficient and as effective as possible, and not adjusting to those new CPAs or those lower CPAs in a way that won't allow us to get back into the norm of things going up 20, 30%, like they probably will as soon as like the bigger companies start entering the marketplace more and taking up some of that inventory. So
that's a great point. Yeah.
Megan made a great point in the chat. She's so freaking smart. She said it'd be interesting to see the people we're acquiring right now at these lower CPAs, if their LTVs, if they're different than what we're used to.
I think all LTV is going to drop across the board. I think everybody, if you just look at the way things happen after recessions or depressions and things like that, people tighten the belts. So at the end of the day, it would be ignorant for us to expect, whatever amount of LTV data you have, whether it's at 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years, like, I don't think I would look at that number and be like, oh, let's base our cost to acquire a customer on our old metrics. Like, literally it's been 6 weeks since we've been in isolation over here in California. And, we see our month 1 and month 2 rebuilds on membership retentions drop. So like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we need to start thinking about that kind of dropping across the board. So that's why I think that it'd be smart to take your margins or your allowable acquisition costs down, or whatever metrics you're using, whatever your break-even points. If you're used to 3 months, take it back to 2 months, or 6 months, take it back to 4 months, So just start thinking more like that, and not just trying to scale. Like, just don't go on an acquiring spree thinking everything else is going to stay the same on the back end. So.
Good point. It's kind of like acknowledging the potential false flag, right? Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, I know. So for our panelists, our experts, most of our viewers come, just like any good webinar, on the replay. So we're getting towards the end. unless there's any questions coming. Is there anything, because obviously we want to thank you guys and help you. Is there anything, any little self-promotion or anything? Because I know y'all have your own businesses, multiple businesses, you have offers. So is there anything we can give you a little platform to advertise yourself?
Shameless plugs. Let's
Shameless
start with
plugs.
Tyler. I want to hear more about your fashion taste. I want to know what else.
Yeah.
I think your watch and your belt and your shoes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Look
Man.
at this.
You can just drop it.
You can't even send the dude a Rolex anymore. You got to send him the matching belt shoes.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
I like the Hublot. That's the way to go. So
Does it match your car too?
no,
Yeah.
that's silly. All that stuff's silly, you guys. It doesn't matter. You know, focus on. We're tightening down so much right now. Even you know, we're very fortunate, but I'm getting really, like, on a personal level, we're getting really like solid at just making sure we have some things in place. Like, I don't know, if you guys have the ability to buy some gold and stick it in your house and be safe and have a food supply for a little while, you know, just be smart about that stuff. I got a little crazy when this whole thing started and got like water tanks and all this crazy stuff. My wife's like, I'm like,
And
"You're
full
not
prepper.
all right." But I also ordered a bunch of Wagyu steak and put it in the freezer too. So I had some real good
Some
meat.
dry age. There you go. Yeah.
So you're bougie bugging out.
What's that?
yeah.
You're bougie bugging out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bougie bugging out. So I don't know. Just be smart about that.
Bougie
Like,
prepper. Oh, man.
now's the time, honestly, to just to lean into the business. I think at the end of the day, it's just lean into the business when the acquisition costs are cheap and when people are all looking to monetize. Like, it's interesting. Like I said, the perspective of having a consulting firm and an agency and a brand all at the same time, and you get to see the different sides of those different businesses. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, as far as helping me, I don't like. I'm good. Like, I don't really need anything from anybody. But I do. Do you guys mind if I do a screen share real quick?
Yeah.
I gave a speech, and at the end of that speech I gave in late February, I did like 5. I think I called it 5 dope ass ways to make more money right now. So I want to just give you guys that, if that's okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh, we love that.
Let me share that with you.
Let me make your screen big.
Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen with my
Yep.
Yeah.
little family photo there? Let me move this guy to the side over here. Okay, so this is a real simple one. This was a big game changer for us last year. We call it the J-Drop upsell strategy because we got it from, God, I'm going to blank on his name right now. I'm going to kill it. Anyways, I didn't invent this. Somebody else invented this. So essentially what we did for this upsell was, you know, you do a full price upsell one, whatever that is, whatever your upsell one that's working right now, just keep it the same, right? And then we did the same thing, but added more stuff to it as upsell 2 or as a downsell, essentially, if they don't take that. Drop the price by 50% as a downsell 3, and we drop the price by 50% again as a downsell 4. In our funnels, this is attached to continuity. Every single one of these is attached to continuity. That made a humongous difference. I mean, literally like 100% increase on lifetime value by focusing on this kind of strategy of just like executing this way. I don't want to like go into too much detail on this, but very simply, just like whatever your first upsell is, if it's $100 and you give them 4 things, then they say no, make it $100, give them 4 more things on top of the 4 things and emphasize the value of that. If they say no, drop the price by 50%. If they say no, drop the price by 50%. And I put a note here, don't annoy people. We use a 4 upsell max. So we have upsells behind these, but they only ever see 4, right? They're never going to see like 8 upsells or something silly like that, right?
Right. So if they say no on the first one, you're just giving them the same one, just with more things, 2 to 3 more times. If they say yes on the first one, then you add a different offer in.
You go to the next offer. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then another tip here: if you guys have a membership service and you don't have a service setting up declines, we set up FlexPay later last year, and I feel like an idiot for not doing it sooner. Because as you can see, when we set it up and we started getting the rolling going, it's going to be worth like $1.5 to $2 million to us this year. And it absolutely, I mean, it's literally you just plug in a service. That was it, right? So set that up if you guys have that set. If you don't have that set up yet. This is pretty cool. We coded a little thing that we call the ad quadrant. So at the bottom of all of our emails, there's a little 4 blocks, and then we put these ads in there. We've got a pretty good tech team, so they coded it to show at random, and then we put tracking IDs on each individual ad, so every month we can optimize. And as you can see, like in September, it was 2,000, October, 8,000, November, 11,000, December, 10,000, January, 12,000, February, 14,000. It keeps going up and up. So this is an easy way to add probably anywhere between 5 to 10% revenue to your emails without literally doing anything. It didn't take down clicks. It didn't take down primary revenue. Nothing changed except for the fact that we just made more money, Okay, so this is a really easy thing to do to make more money. And if you want to test some of those offers that are a little bit more risky, you can put those offers in this ad quadrant. You can see which ones work. Then you can roll those into testing for your primary creatives.
So sorry, so this is, it takes me two listens to understand something sometimes, but so this, you're putting this into email creative?
Yeah, so let me just show you if I think I have an
So it's at the bottom of the email, I imagine?
Right. So like here's an email from our brand, right? And
this is like a thank you for buying kind of email potentially, or
blah,
just
blah, 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 blah. No, just like this is just like an email broadcast for the day.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
And at the bottom of that email, it says community favorites, staff picks. We're testing out different variations.
Oh, yeah.
So in a nutshell, it's just really quite simple. It's just ads for other stuff at the bottom of your emails, right?
That's dope. Yeah.
And then four, I already talked about this. This is the Scout email list, right? Put 15% of your people onto a small list. Email inventory is fixed, right? Test the shit out of stuff with that list, and then roll the good stuff over to the big list, right? And then the last one I have on here is it's called co-registration with your emails. Essentially, what we do is we take an email list and then we duplicate the file. We activate it underneath a different domain and a different sender. There's different ways to do this. There's ways to do it blind, where the people who are getting the emails don't know that it's coming from the initial brand. And there's ways to do it where there is a direct tie from one brand to another. The direct tie from one brand to another works better because there's a connection there. But anyways, you can increase your revenue by 30 to 50% on revenue without any decrease on main list revenue. Okay, so if you have emails coming in, you have these people coming through, you can do this co-registration process, can increase your revenue by that amount. There's caveats here though, okay? One, if you just copy your file and load it into an ESP, you're gonna fail, you're gonna destroy your delivery, destroy your domain reputation, it's gonna suck. You have to do it slow. If you're gonna do it yourself, do it in very small files, do it very slowly, run them through an activation campaign, and only mail the people who activated on the new platform. Do not email anybody who did not at least open one email. So it's engaged people only, right? And the other side of it, you must be buttoned up legally. Your terms, your privacy policy, your agreement to those on your checkout page, all of that stuff has to be really buttoned up in order to make sure this is above board. But there's pretty easy ways to do that once you get a legal team that says, hey, once you give us your data, we're allowed to use it in any way we want, et cetera, send from these domains, blah, 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 blah. So that's another great way to do some email stuff. We do that within our email agency, and we're adding hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to people's bottom lines by doing this for them as well. So I guess if you guys want to help me out in any way, shape, or form, you could just ping us and let us know if you want to do some email management or co-registration stuff with us, and that'd be solid.
And should they reach out to you or Ryan Saplin?
You can just ping me direct with both of us. Doesn't matter.
Awesome.
Sorry, I know I talk fast, but I know we're almost out of time.
That was
money. No, that was awesome.
Sweet.
And again, we're going to have the replay so people can pause it and go over it.
Watch
Amanda.
that one quarter of the speed.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really have any big asks right now. I'll just put it out there that Megan and Chelsea, our affiliate managers, we've got a couple of offers that are just crushing it for us right now. We're doing a lot of scale right now. So reach out to those guys if you're looking for some offers that are proven, and if you need custom creatives or something to make the offer a little bit better for a fit. By the way, don't be scared to ask affiliates for that, or people with offers. Like if you have if you think the offer would work to your list, but maybe the creatives that they're providing aren't ideal for your list or aren't in your voice, you can ask for new creatives. You can ask them to write things for you that make sense for the offer, but might fit your list a little bit better. We're happy to do that kind of stuff. We prefer to run stuff that's legally approved, so we don't get into any troubles with our offers being run. But, I'm running a couple of tests over there on a couple of offers. So if you give Megan some traffic, you may help some of my tests be completed sooner, which helps me in the long run. But while I have these guys here, I do wanted to just say thank you really quickly to a couple of people on this call. Number one, Tyler, because I fangirl him every time I see him. He's so freaking smart. I've been following Tyler for a long time, and every once in a while he's nice enough to get on a call with me and listen to me ramble and ask a million questions and pick his brain about things. So thank you, Tyler. And then Thomas, for always being the guy in the room that you can count on when you're at an event and you don't know anyone. And Thomas is in the room. He's so accommodating and so nice. And you're, always making the best introductions. And, you always help with networking, and I can just always rely on you as a friend. So I appreciate you both. And Ryan, for you having me on the call. I definitely appreciate it. Anyways, that's the you know, girly, sappy part that I just needed to get
Oh,
in.
thanks, Amanda.
Love you guys.
Stop my screen share. I'm going to shut it to you.
Yeah.
No pressure, Thomas. Try
Yeah.
follow.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah,
I guess I've got two. One, so if you guys want to stay in touch with kind of knowing what the best new launches are coming up, what the best kind of new refresh offers, or if they even if they're brand new and testing, the ClickBank Money Call is a great thing to get signed up for and join. Even if you don't watch it every week and get it plugged, Ryan and Darcy on this call kind of run that. They do an email blast delivery with it too, so you can watch replays and just kind of get a refresh of the offers if you don't join live. But usually when you join live, you get some kind of cool nuggets from some of the offers being presented with some kind of bonus to sign up for promotions and stuff. Here's the link for Money Call to everybody. I'll put it in chat right now. It's just moneycall.clickbank.com. It's a great place. Again, I recommend it to everybody if they just want to know, because I get asked all the time, what's the best offer right now? Like, well, get on this email list and you'll have a whole repository of it. And then selfishly, I've launched a personal site, thomasjmcmahon.com. So if you guys want to stay in touch with me, get connected on social media, or just subscribe to my list, which I don't mail to yet because I just launched this last week, but I will be. You guys can check that out. I'll be adding more to it as this goes on and everything like that. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This has been great.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. And then, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And as always, in the words of Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other.
I love it.
Thanks, guys.
Good choice for a close for this group.
I know. Have a good one.
Thanks.